The twin suns of Zarella burned high in the dusty sky. The streets were loud with machines, traders, and the cries of people just trying to survive. Among them walked a thin woman with silver skin and glowing blue eyes. Her name was Lyra, and she walked with her head down, arms wrapped around her stomach. She was not hungry, but full of fear. Her daughter Rennie lay sick in a tiny home made of scrap metal and old solar panels. The girl's breathing was weak, her skin pale, her voice gone. The doctors had said she needed a cure, one only found off-world. But Zarella was not rich. It was a broken colony, ruled by corrupt traders and forgotten by the galaxy. Lyra had tried everything. She cleaned dishes, carried crates, and worked in dark factories. But even after months, she had only enough credits for food and a little medicine. The cure cost more than 100 times what she had. There were no loans, no help, only one way left. She stood in front of the Orvan slave market, a place she had always feared, a place where people became property. Lyra looked at the glowing sign and whispered, "Forgive me, Rennie. I will save you." Inside, the air was thick and hot. The crowd was loud. Many alien species were there, some in cages, some on display. The smell of fear was everywhere. A short, sharp-nosed trader approached. He wore golden rings and had a voice like a broken machine. "You wish to sell?" he asked. Lyra nodded. "Terms?" he asked again. "I want one contract," she said quietly. 5 years. Enough credits for a Class B off-world cure and care for my daughter." The trader scanned her with a device. Healthy, strong, Varathi female, not common. "You will fetch a good price," he grinned. "You will be sold today. Do you understand what this means?" "Yes," Lyra said, even though her heart screamed no. She was taken to the preparation room. Her simple clothes were replaced with a white auction robe. A cold number was burned onto her wrist. She was now Lot 97. They led her to a platform. Bright lights hit her eyes. Below her stood buyers from across the stars, rich aliens in robes, soldiers, and shadowy figures with bodyguards. "Lot 97, the announcer said. "Varathi female, age 29, life term, 5 standard years, trained, healthy, no defects. Start at 10,000 credits." The bidding began. 10,000, 15, 25. Lyra stood still, eyes empty. She thought only of Rennie's smile, her soft voice calling, "Mama?" Suddenly, a voice came from the back. Calm, clear, human. 50,000. The crowd fell silent. Heads turned. Even the announcer paused. Standing near the exit was a tall human man with dark hair and strong shoulders. He wore a long coat with no rank or house symbols. He looked more like a soldier than a buyer. "No higher bids?" the announcer asked, shocked. Silence. "Sold. Lot 97 to human captain Jack Marlowe." Lyra was taken away from the stage. The trader handed her a small chip. "This is your payment code. Your child will be cared for. You will be delivered to your new owner." "Thank you," she whispered, though her heart ached. Hours later, she was led outside to a landing pad. Sleek starship waited, not too big, but clean and powerful. The symbol on the side read SS Starfire. The ramp opened. The human man, Jack Marlowe, stood waiting. She bowed low, as was custom. "I am yours now, sir. My name is Lyra." Jack frowned. "You don't need to bow." She looked up, confused. "You're not a slave on my ship," he said. "Not to me." Lyra blinked. "But you bought me." "I paid to stop others from owning you," he said. "And to save your daughter. You're safe now." Still, she kept her head low. What do you want me to do, master? He sighed. Don't call me that. I'm Jack. You'll have a room, food. If you want to work, you can. If not, rest. You've been through enough. Lyra didn't understand. No one ever bought a slave for kindness. Was this some trick? Inside the ship, everything was clean and warm. A gentle hum filled the air. She was given her own room, soft bed, clean clothes, a window with a view of the stars. Later, Jack knocked on her door. He handed her a small hollow device. Your daughter's. Care is paid for. The medship will arrive on Zarella by tomorrow. You can contact her every night. Tears filled her eyes. Why would you do this? He simply said, because someone should. She didn't sleep that night. She held the hollow device close, watching old videos of Rennie, her child laughing, dancing, calling her name. And though she was on a strange ship, flying through the stars, a tiny spark of hope lit in her heart. Maybe, just maybe, this human wasn't a monster. The stars moved slowly outside the window of the starfire as the ship glided through open space. Inside her small room, Lyra sat with her knees pulled close. She had not removed her shoes. She had not touched the bed. Everything felt too soft, too clean, too kind. She had expected chains, harsh orders, pain, but instead she was left alone, fed well, given clothes. Even the guards, if they were guards, just smiled politely and walked past her in the halls. She did not understand it. The door buzzed. She stood quickly, ready to kneel, but the door just slid open gently. Captain Jack Marlowe stood there with a simple shirt and a data tablet in one hand. His face looked tired but calm, strong but not cold. You've been quiet, he said softly. I was waiting for orders, she answered. Jack raised an eyebrow. Orders? I was sold, Lyra said, looking down. You own me now. He stepped inside and sat on the edge of a nearby chair. I don't own you. I paid your contract to keep you safe. That's all. But why? She asked again. No one helps a Varathi for free, not even other Varathi. Jack looked at her, long and steady. Because I saw a mother willing to sell herself to save her child. That takes strength. It takes love. And the universe needs more people like that. Lyra didn't speak. She didn't believe him. Not fully. But she wanted to. He handed her the tablet. Here, you have a new message from the medship on Zarella. She took it slowly and tapped the screen. The hologram opened and a small figure appeared, a child with silver skin and glowing blue eyes. Rennie! Mama! Her soft voice called out. I feel better today. They gave me a yellow drink that made my throat feel nice. Thank you, Mama. I love you. Lyra covered her mouth with her hand. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she whispered, My little star. Jack stood. You don't owe me anything, Lyra. Just rest, heal, be free. And he left the room. Over the next few days, Lyra moved through the ship more freely. The crew treated her kindly, as if she were just another person, not property. She met Tessa, a loud but friendly engineer who fixed everything with one hand and held coffee in the other. She met Korik, a four-armed alien who cooked spicy meals and laughed from his belly. And she met Jun, a quiet pilot with cybernetic eyes who could fly through asteroid fields without blinking. Each one smiled. Each one greeted her. No one looked down on her. Jack never touched her, never stared at her body, never even locked her door. It confused her more than cruelty would have. One evening, Lyra went to the engine room. She used to fix broken things back home to earn small coins. The hum of machines felt familiar, safe. Tessa noticed her and waved. You know how to tighten coolant seals? Lyra nodded. Good. Come help me. That day, Lyra worked side by side with the engineer. She got oil on her hands, wiped sweat from her forehead, and when she finished, Tessa tossed her a water bottle and smiled. "Not bad, slave girl," she joked. Lyra tensed. Tessa laughed. "I'm kidding. We don't do masters and slaves here. We're all just weird people trying to survive." Lyra looked at her hands. Greasy, calloused, real. Maybe she could survive here too. Later that night, Lyra walked to the upper deck. She found Jack standing near the viewing window, staring at the stars. "You can't sleep?" he asked. "No," she said. "Too quiet." He smiled. "I get that." They stood together in silence. "Captain," she said quietly. "Call." "Me, Jack!" "Jack, where are we going?" "To Verta Station," he answered. "We're picking up supplies and a few passengers. After that, maybe we take a cargo job. Maybe not. We float where we're needed." "And you let your crew choose to stay?" "Of course. They're not prisoners. They're family." "Family." That word stung her heart. The last family she had was a sick child planets away. "Do you have any?" she asked. Jack shook his head. "Lost them. War took them years ago. I was a soldier once. Now I just help where I can." "Is that why you saved me?" He looked at her. "Maybe. I've seen what cruelty looks like. I don't want to be part of it anymore." Lyra turned back to the stars. Her voice was small. "Thank you." The next morning, Jack left a message on her tablet. "If you want, you can work here. I'll pay you like the others. You're free to say no." Lyra stared at the message for a long time. Then she wrote back, "I want to help." Weeks passed. Lyra worked with the crew. She learned the ship's systems. She helped in the kitchen. She even started fixing the broken vents that hissed too loud at night. She laughed with Tessa, traded stories with Korik, watched June dance when he thought no one was looking. Each night, she spoke with Rennie. The girl was getting stronger, her eyes brighter, her smile bigger. And each night, Lyra would think about Jack. He didn't ask for thanks. He didn't expect anything from her. He simply cared. She had sold herself expecting chains, but the human who bought her gave her dignity instead. And now, for the first time in years, Lyra wondered what freedom really meant. Life aboard the Starfire was no longer strange for Lyra. After many days, the quiet ship had started to feel like a second home. It moved through the stars like a silent guardian, never rushing, never lost. Lyra woke up early each morning. She cleaned her room, tied her long silver hair, and went to work in the engine bay. There, she helped Tessa, the sharp-tongued engineer, with daily checks. Lyra's hands were often covered in oil, but she didn't mind. The work kept her calm, focused. She wasn't a servant. She wasn't a slave. She was part of the crew. Each morning, she checked her tablet for a message from her daughter, Rennie. The little girl was now living in a clean hospital dome on Zarella. Her voice was stronger. Her smile was brighter. The cure was working. Sometimes Rennie would send drawings, stars, ships, and even little stick figures of Mama and the Nice Human. Lyra kept every drawing in a small box by her bed. One evening, Lyra sat in the ship's dining hall, wiping engine grease from her hands. The air smelled of fried vegetables and spice. Korik, the four-armed cook, placed a plate in front of her. "Try this," he said proudly. "Human recipe, macaroni and cheese." Lyra poked at it with a fork. "It looks like yellow worms." "It tastes better than worms," Korik said, laughing. She took a bite. It was warm, soft, and salty. She smiled. Jack entered the hall and sat a few seats away, plate in hand. He wore simple clothes, just like the rest of the crew. There was no captain's chair, no special meals, no wall between him and others. Lyra watched as he laughed at one of June's flying jokes. Jack didn't act like a man with power. He acted like a man who understood pain and chose peace. Later, when most of the crew had gone to rest, Jack stayed behind to wash dishes. Lyra walked up beside him. "You shouldn't do that. You're the captain." He smiled and handed her a towel. "And you're free now. We do what we want, remember?" She dried a plate beside him in silence. After a moment, she asked, "Why do you do this?" "Do what?" "Live this way. Help people. Take in strangers." Jack paused, his hands still in the soapy water. "Because I've seen what happens when no one helps. I lost a lot in the wars. I didn't save the people I cared about, so now I try to help whoever I can. While I still can." Lyra nodded slowly. "You helped me." "You saved Rennie." "You saved her," he said. "I just gave you the chance." Over the next weeks, the Starfire made several stops. On Verta Station, Lyra saw cities floating inside crystal domes. She bought a small music chip for Rennie with. The credits Jack paid her. On Telvis Moon, she helped repair a broken cooling system. The local miners gave her a small flower carved from stone as thanks. And on a lonely asteroid outpost, she held a crying child while the crew handed out food and blankets to refugees. Everywhere they went, Jack offered help. Never asked for payment, never expected rewards. Lyra began to feel something new: pride. She was no longer just a mother or a contract. She was Lyra of the Starfire. One day, while checking fuel levels, the ship's alert system beeped. Red lights flashed. "Unknown vessel approaching," the computer said. "Gorex signature detected." Lyra's blood turned cold. Gorex. They were cruel raiders. Pirates. The same group that had ruled over her home for years. The same ones who had allowed the slave markets to grow. She ran to the bridge. Jack was already there, voice calm but firm. "Shields. Up. Weapons ready, but hold fire." A message came through the comms. "This is Gorex vessel Bloodmaw. You carry stolen property. Return her now." Jack narrowed his eyes. Stolen property? The Varathi female. She was sold under Gorex authority. "You bought her, but her people belong to us." Lyra stepped forward. "They're talking about me." Jack looked at her. "Do you want to go with them?" "No," she said quickly. "They will hurt me. Maybe kill me. And they'll take others, too." Jack turned back to the screen. "Tell your captain she belongs to no one. She's a crew member of the Starfire." The enemy ship began charging weapons. Jack's voice became steel. "All hands! Battle stations!" The battle was quick but fierce. The Bloodmaw had stronger weapons, but the Starfire had speed and brains. Jun flew like a ghost, dodging blasts through space debris. Tessa rerouted power from the engine to the shields. Korik manned the rear cannon, firing back with a growl. In the engine room, Lyra saw a warning: coolant leak. If the leak reached the core, the ship would explode. She didn't wait. She grabbed a toolkit and crawled into the tight shaft. It was hot, loud, dangerous. She pressed her hand to the coolant line and began sealing the breach piece by piece. Her hands burned. Her breath was short, but she didn't stop. Not until the leak was sealed, not until the ship was safe. When the fight ended, the Bloodmaw fled with half its hull burning. The Starfire took some damage, but it was alive, and so was its crew in the medbay. Jack checked her burns. "You didn't have to do that," he said quietly. "You would have done it for me," Lyra replied. He met her eyes. "You're brave." "I'm not afraid anymore," she said softly. "Not when I'm with all of you." That night, the crew celebrated quietly in the dining hall. Lyra sat beside Jack, a bandage on her hand and a small smile on her face. She didn't feel broken anymore. She didn't feel owned. She felt seen. The crew of the Starfire repaired the ship slowly over the next few days. After the battle with the Orcs, everyone worked hard. Plates were welded, wires replaced, the engines needed a full systems reset. Even Lyra, though her hands were still healing from burns, helped wherever she could. She refused to rest. She said, "I'm not a guest anymore. I'm crew." Captain Jack Marlowe didn't argue. He simply smiled. Each night, Lyra checked on her daughter Rennie, who was now walking again. Her voice was strong. Her laugh made Lyra's heart shine. But even with the joy, there was a shadow. Jack had sent a warning to other friendly ships. The Orcs Syndicate now had their eyes on the Starfire. There could be more attacks, more danger. "Let them come," said Tessa, rolling up her sleeves. "We've fought worse." "Still," Jack said, "we'll avoid large ports for now. We're not hiding. We're protecting the people we carry." That day, they set course for a quiet planet named Drellin 5, where they were to deliver food and medicine to a struggling village. The journey took 3 days through deep space. That's when the trap was sprung. The Starfire dropped out of hyperspace too early, dragged by a gravity mine. Before the crew could respond, 3 ships appeared. Around them, shaped like metal beasts. Their red lights glowed like eyes. Orcs ships. One of them hailed. "Captain Marlowe," the voice growled. "We warned you. The Varathi female is property. Give her up or all of you will die." Jack stood tall on the bridge. "You call her property. I call her crew. You'll get nothing. Then your ship will burn." Lyra stepped forward. "Captain, let me go." Jack turned sharply. "No, they're after me," she said. "If I go, they might leave you alone." "No," he said again, louder. "You are not a price to pay. We stand together." Lyra saw the crew readying weapons, June at the controls, Tessa with a wrench in one hand and a blaster in the other. Korik checking the rear turrets. They were ready to fight. For her, she swallowed her fear. "Then let's fight," she said. The space around them turned into chaos. The Orcs ships opened. Fire. Lasers lit the sky. The Starfire dodged, but their shields dropped to 60% fast. Lyra ran to the engine bay to reroute power. The ship shook, but she stayed steady. "Cooling core active," she shouted over the comms. "Power to weapons," Jack's voice replied. Korik's cannon roared. One enemy ship exploded. "Nice shot," Jun called out. But then a sharp noise filled the air. Boarding clamps. One of the Orcs ships had latched onto the Starfire. "They're coming inside," Tessa yelled. Jack and 3 crew members grabbed weapons. "Hold them off!" Lyra froze. This was different. This was not a space battle. The enemy was coming inside to take her. She grabbed a tool and locked the engine doors, then ran toward the sound of gunfire. Blaster shots echoed through the halls. Smoke filled the air. Orcs raiders stormed the corridors, tall, armored, and cruel. Jack stood in their way, firing calmly. Tessa took down 2 with quick shots. Korik swung a metal pipe, knocking one through a wall, but there were too many. Lyra hid in the shadows, heart pounding. She saw a Orcs brute step behind Jack, aiming a weapon. Without thinking, Lyra leapt from the side and tackled him. The brute slammed her into the wall, but she stabbed him with a sharp tool. He roared in pain and dropped his blaster. Jack turned, saw her, and finished the fight with a quick shot. "Lyra!" he shouted. "Are you okay?" She nodded, breathing hard. "Yes. You're crazy," he said with a small smile. "I'm crew," she answered. The battle inside the ship didn't last long. The Starfire's crew was small, but they knew every corner, every room. They pushed the invaders back. Jun managed to trigger an emergency pulse, which broke the boarding clamps. The Orcs ship detached and floated helplessly in space. The last 2 Orcs vessels, seeing the failure, turned and ran. The fight was over. The crew gathered in the main hall, bruised, but alive. Jack stood at the center. "No one died. We're lucky." "But they'll come again," June said. "They won't stop." "I know," Jack said. He looked at Lyra. She stood tall, even with a bandage on her arm. They're chasing her because they think she belongs. To them, Jack said. They believe in chains. We don't, Tessa said firmly. No, Jack agreed. We believe in freedom and family. He turned to Lyra. You saved me today. You fought beside us. You are crew. Lyra stepped forward. Her voice was calm. Captain, Jack, I want to stay, not because I owe you, but because I believe in what this ship stands for. Jack looked at her and gave a slow nod. Then stay. You're not just free. You're home. That night, the crew shared a simple dinner. There were no big speeches, just laughter, tired smiles, and a lot of spicy soup. Lyra sat beside Jack. I thought love was weakness, she said softly. Real love is strength, he answered. The strongest thing in the universe. She looked down. I still don't know what I feel, but I know I don't want to run anymore. Then don't, Jack said. They sat together, watching the stars. And for the first time since she sold herself to save her daughter, Lyra didn't feel like she had lost anything. She had gained something instead. Weeks passed after the Orcs attack. The crew of the Starfire repaired the ship once again. They didn't complain. Everyone worked harder, but no one worked more than Lyra. She was no longer quiet. She gave ideas during repair meetings. She cooked when Korik was tired. She laughed with Tessa, flew with June during practice runs, and even learned how to fire the defense turret. To Lyra, the Starfire was no longer just a ship. It was a place of healing. It was family. And one day, her real family arrived. It started with a message from Zarella. The hospital had finished Rennie's treatment. The cure had worked completely. Her bones were strong, her blood was clean, and her eyes were bright again. The doctor's report ended with a smile and a note. Your daughter is ready to come home. Lyra held the tablet in shaking hands. She didn't cry, but her eyes sparkled. With joy, Jack noticed. You got the message? Lyra nodded. She's healthy. She can travel. Then we'll go get her, Jack said with a warm smile. No, Lyra said, then looked up. They're already on the way. The hospital ship left yesterday. She'll arrive tomorrow at our next stop. Jack tilted his head. You didn't tell me? I wanted to surprise you, she said. Jack laughed. You surprised me, all right. The next day, the Starfire landed on a peaceful planet named Lauren's Haven, a neutral world known for gardens, wildlife, and soft blue skies. The landing zone was small and quiet. Only a few ships docked nearby. The crew waited near the ramp. Lyra stood at the edge, her hands trembling. She wore a simple, clean outfit, white and gold, picked by Tessa. Then the medical shuttle arrived. The doors opened, and out walked a little girl with silver skin, bright blue eyes, and a smile that could melt a frozen planet. Mama! She shouted. Lyra dropped to her knees and opened her arms. Rennie ran into her mother's embrace, laughing, crying, holding her tight. They didn't speak at first. They just stayed together. I missed you, Rennie finally whispered. I missed you more, Lyra said. Jack and the crew stood silently, giving them space. Even Korik wiped his eye with a napkin. That night, the crew held a small welcome dinner for Rennie. She sat on Korik's shoulders. Tessa gave her a toy wrench. June let her press a few buttons on the flight controls. Rennie's laughter filled the halls of the Starfire. The ship had never felt more alive. Lyra stood beside Jack. Thank you. For what? For all of this. Jack looked at her. I only opened a door. You walked through it. She took a deep breath. Captain, you said before that I was free, that I could leave whenever I wanted. I meant it. I don't want to leave, she said. Not now. Not ever. Jack blinked. You're sure? "This ship gave me hope," she said. "And Rennie needs a future. She needs more than survival. She needs to see good people doing good things." "She'll learn that here," Jack said softly. Lyra smiled. "Then let's make this her home, too." Over the next few months, life on the Starfire became even more full. Rennie took classes through the ship's learning system. She helped in the kitchen, played with spare wires, and sometimes fell asleep in the engine room beside her mother. The crew adored her. She called Tessa her auntie. She called Korik Big Chef. She drew pictures of June flying through stars. And Jack? She called him Uncle Jack, though sometimes she looked at him like he was something even more. One day, the Starfire answered a distress call from a small science station under attack. Pirates were stealing their research and supplies. Jack and the crew fought back, protected the workers, and recovered the stolen items. Lyra and Rennie helped the doctors. Rennie handed out water and bandages while Lyra translated for injured aliens. When the job was done, the workers gave Lyra a medal. "You're a hero," one said. Lyra looked at Rennie. "No, I'm a mother. That's even stronger." One night, after a long journey, Lyra stood on the upper deck, watching the stars. Jack joined her, holding 2 cups of warm tea. They stood side by side, looking out at the galaxy. "Never thought I'd see this far," Lyra said. Jack nodded. "You've come a long way." "You changed my life," she said. "You didn't treat me like a slave. You treated me like a person." "Because that's what you are," he said. "I didn't understand at first," she continued. "But now I do. You didn't buy me. You saved me." "I didn't do it for thanks," Jack said quietly. "I know," Lyra replied. "That's why it meant so much." They were silent for a moment. Then she said, "Rennie loves you." "She's easy to love." "And I do too." Jack turned to her, his voice gentle. "Lyra, you don't have to say anything," she said. "I just wanted you to know. You gave me more than freedom. You gave me a future." He looked at her for a long time. Then he smiled. "Maybe we can build that future together." Lyra took his hand. "We already are." The next morning, the Starfire left Lauren's Haven and flew toward the next star system. But this time it didn't just carry a crew. It carried a family. Lyra sat in the dining hall with Rennie beside her, Jack across from her, and the crew laughing all around. She had sold herself once. She had been afraid, but in the end, the human who bought her never asked for anything in return. Instead, he gave her the one thing no one else had ever offered, love, and she gave it back. Not because she had to, but because she chose to.